All right, howdy folks. Thought I'd jump on a little bit early today since the wife is enjoying her sports games. She's into sports, I am not. So I thought I would spend my time and we would continue our work on the, let's see if I can actually get to the line up. There we go. Macintosh IICI reloaded board. We have the majority of the main components installed in terms of the chips. We have a few that are little outliers here. And then it's the sockets and ROMs, and yeah, we should be ready to test. How long that's going to take, I don't know. This is the first 2CI board I've done. Prior to this, I've been working on SE30 reloaded boards, which fortunately have all worked after a little bit of coaxing. So I figure this is a good, at least, first try on the 2CI. We have two more boards after this that have to be rebuilt. Hopefully, we'll get an idea of how long this will take for the first time, and then hopefully speed it up after that. But anyway, let's switch over to the overhead cam. And yeah, we'll start removing some additional components here and get them moved over. So, grabbing my stuff. Let's take a look at what we got left on the board. So we have these UJ components, some resistor packs, UH components, UE13, UD13, UB13, more resistor packs, some fuses, regulator by the looks of it. Yeah, so let's just, I don't know, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, we're going to start with these guys. Now, are these all the same component? It looks like it. F2, 4, 5, all four of them. Still try and put them back on in the right order, but if we get it wrong, it doesn't look like it would be a big deal. One, get that off the board so it doesn't adhere itself. Yes, I do still need to test the with the multimeter, the different chips that I've installed, make sure we don't have any bridges. It didn't look like we did under the microscope, but you never know. But to be honest, that's boring. I wanted to put some chips on. So I thought we'd do this instead. Okay. Alright, so that's the 4 in the middle. Grab the microscope. And switch. Let's get these bad boys on. Oops. Onto the floor, apparently. Can't tell, it's a bit early here. So, I'm going to blame that if I'm clumsy. That'll be the excuse today, anyway. All right. Let's get this guy on. Shouldn't really need a lot of flux, but we'll use it anyway. I will need to see if I can find some sockets for some of these components, like the ROMs. I would definitely want a socket. I have those in stock, if I recall correctly. And if there is a problem with the ROM, it's a lot easier to just swap it out than it is to take them off the board and try again. drag. Okay, we need more flux if we're going to try and drag this. And we probably need a higher temperature for these. There we go. World of difference. Had it set a bit lower because we were doing that 68,030 and the pin density on those is a little closer together, and I don't like having the heat too high when I'm doing those. There we go. That's one. Something I'm still getting used to is changing heads and changing temperatures when you need to, because it does make a world of difference, but there's a certain lazy factor where you just want to use whatever you're using and not have to change it. But that can lead to some big problems, as I have learned. I would love to see if we can get to the point where we can actually do a test with this. It doesn't have to have all the components on, but enough to test with, which would be really nice. If we can get it to actually chime, because this was the one that we received and it had pretty much no signs of life. It was a white screen, no chime. And then when I started poking at the board, pads started flying off from corrosion. I mean, I didn't even really have any heat on it. I was just trying to remove corrosion, and the pads were just flying off of it. So I think hopefully once we have this all done up and make sure we have no bridging, that it should work. If not, we have two others we can put together, and if they work, then I can use them to compare against this one and see what's going on. Oh, you guys are dirty. Got some dirty legs on this one. I see the black coming off. You can see it right in here. Fortunately, the flux and the solder help clean that off. Number 3. See if I get a chance to do some more streaming here in the coming months. I'm going to try and do it more regular. Craig and I were talking about that. He's going to try, I'm going to try. We'll see what happens. One thing I would definitely like to get on stream is trying to diagnose what's going on with that Macintosh Classic that I had started the reload build for. It does mostly work. Like I said in the last stream, it is booting up to the floppy disk icon, but it does not see SCSI. It does at least have sound now. It did not first time, which turned out to be a problem with the board itself, the wrong component, and a missing component from when it was sent out from MacFX. I don't know if they've corrected that. I did email them about it, and I told them that that appeared to be a problem. The only response I got was, oh, we'll let the creator know, which, after talking with Will, the creator of that project already knew about that problem, and I corrected it. So for whatever reason, when MacFix did that run, they did not correct the problem. So did they correct it later on? Don't know. That particular batch, though, was clearly still affected. They do love good projects. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, trying to say that they don't produce good things, but I wish their email response in that particular instance had been a little bit more definitive about what they intended to do. Like, are we going to fix that batch? Are we going to let other customers that may have run into the same issue know by email? You know, just something to show that they take it seriously and they want to make sure that people are aware. Of course, they could make the argument if you're building one of these boards, you probably know how to do that diagnosis, so what's it really matter? My thing is, well, it matters because when you buy something and it doesn't work right away, and it's not your soldering and it's not the components, why are you making me spend the time to diagnose it instead of just letting me know as a customer, oh yeah, that batch had a bad run. Sorry, here's the component you need to change. It's a minor thing, really, in the grand scheme of things. It's just a courtesy. Something I find more and more often is overlooked. Few companies seem to bother nowadays, or flat out go the opposite direction and don't seem to care. There we go. Oop, added a bridge, took it away. Okay, that's those four. What else do we have for components I want to grab here? Let's take a look. Resistor pack. Let's get these little guys. UB13, UD13, and UE13. Why not? Some point we have to come back for these diodes, all of these other teeny weeny little components, because they are important too. All right, back to our microscope. Yep. Where are we? Over here. This is a big board. It's off the table again. Okay. Where's your pin one? Pin one is there. Okay. Come on. 2 and 3. All right, let's see this guy lined up. These are not all the same, so it's important to get them right. A little bit of flux in there. And I should get my fan going, so I'm not bringing this all in directly. Very bad for that. It is hard to hear, especially hear Craig over the fan, so I have a habit of turning it off, which is great for my hearing, terrible for my lungs. So I need to get some better habits there. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Back where you're supposed to be, thank you. Stay there. Flux. That's better. Okay. And of course I'm off screen on there. There we go. That one's done. No bridging. Looks decent. Little tilted more than I wanted, but it will do. It's one thing I have learned is if it's on, making a connection but not 100% pretty, leave it alone. You're more likely just to rip a pad trying to move things around. Sure, it'd be nice to have it 100%, but 99% can do just fine. That side. It's 2. And then the third one, let's get that into view. This little guy. You know, one thing I really do have to learn more about on this board, I've started learning about it on the SA30, is what each of the chips are doing there. You know, this one's for RAM read-write, this one's for video, this one's for the MUX. This board I don't know. I have to learn that. Because it can actually help you a lot to understand when you run into problems of, okay, what isn't communicating? What or where might I have a problem I've introduced versus maybe there's a problem with that chip? Just getting a better understanding of that. How's that completely off view even though it's centered? Okay. Try that again. There we go. Those are on. Alright, what are we stealing next? Resistor pack, resistor pack, resistor pack, resistor pack. UH3. Let's do these 3 over here. If I switch my view, you can see. Let's do these 3. Not sure what they do, but let's grab them. I am trying the noise canceling feature on the microphone again. So hopefully this is not too much noise. I've got the hot air going and my fan. Oh, come on. 3. There we go. That's those three. Back to microscope. Start with UH1. Are we even close? Nope, let's move that down. I may continue to play with my layouts and scenes here. See if we can find a way to... that's odd. I had one of those. Did not? Okay. Never mind. To see if I can make it a little bit better layout. So right now I'm losing quite a bit of real estate here by having the three screens the way laid out the way they are. Nope. Solder. Well, let's get the other two laid down here too, and then we'll just go back and run over them real quick. There we go. Number two. Tack down. I mentioned yesterday I found some software that's letting me use an old cell phone as a overhead camera, and I can remotely control it now from the software on the Macintosh. The software is called, I think, iRuin. IRIUN webcam. It's for Mac and Windows at least. I don't know about a Linux version. Seems to work really well, and the nice thing was it was a one-time $8 fee, I believe, which is pretty rare these days. So I was happy to pay that when I saw that it worked. And the nice thing is it allows you to work over USB or Wi-Fi, so you can have that as a mobile camera, walk around with it and stream at the same time. I'm still looking for tools like that. The next one I'm looking for is a way of recording multiple camera angles at the same time to different files, so that you can edit them together yourself from whatever camera angle worked best. So a lesson we learned from the Color Classic LCD conversion is it would have been a lot faster and easier if I didn't have to record one camera at a time and redo things so that you could see it from a better angle. I think from my reading OBS does it. I'm using Streamlabs right now. I cannot find any setting in Streamlabs that lets me do it. StreamYard, I guess, would allow me to do it from some reading, but I'm not sure. It sounds like it, but it's not confirmed. And then another one I found today is something called Details for Mac. And supposedly that one will do it as well. And it's supposed to be an easier setup, but it's a $70 a year subscription fee, which I personally am getting really sick and tired of having to pay for things over and over again. I really do miss the days like when this machine was out, where you bought the software once and that's what you got. And if you found it needed some more features or wasn't quite stable, you had to buy the next version. But if it worked, you just stuck with it and you kept using it until basically the operating system changed so much that it wasn't supported anymore. I know that's terrible for the shareholders, but I think it's a lot better for people. And I have more cares about the average person than I do about the average shareholder. To be blunt. Yeah, shareholders are people too. Maybe they need to be reminded of that at some point. I have my own shares and my own stocks. I don't expect them to grow infinitely. I expect I'm going to have to manage it, and if I want to see better profits and returns, I'll have to put in more work. But that's just me, I guess. There we go. We are getting so close to done. At least for all the little tiny components. Alright, so what do we have left here? Let's take a look. Mouse, wake up. There you are. Okay. What do we got? What do we got? We got this little D2. I better grab him before I forget, because he's tiny and easy to overlook. Nope. DE2, let's get him on. Oops, dropping stuff again. Microscope would be a good idea. He's way up there. Way up there. Okay. Line. No. Well, it's a good thing I kept that in the same orientation. I don't see a pin 1 indicator on this. That's odd. There's a line, but there's a line on both sides, so that doesn't help. Okay. Well, I will make an assumption that he did not change the orientation when he did this. And we'll see if that is a correct assumption or not. Hopefully it is. Yeah, let's get more flex on there. There we go. I don't think Craig will be joining this morning. Forgot to message him for one, and for two, he's more of a night bird than I am. So he was probably up late again. Okay, I've got D2. Yeah, see, you can see the difference here. If I switch back to the microscope, and see here, it's got the indentation to indicate that this is the side for pin 1. On the new board revision, D2 has no indicator. So hopefully that will get fixed in another revision. But at the moment, I'm going to just assume that he did not change the orientation when he put the chip on here. Alright, what's next? want to kind of wait on the yellow resistor packs because they have a tendency to turn brown on me. We could do the black ones. We got some capacitors. Oh, here's a good one. Let's do the diode and fuses because those are important. And let's see if I can zoom in and actually show you there which ones I'm talking about. So I'm thinking grab this and the fuses because I did not get more fuses in stock, so I'm kind of stuck with these. For my own purpose, the brown line is facing to the left. There's a marker on here, and there's a marker on the new board. Okay. That came off really quick. Wasn't really expecting that to come off that quick. And that one too. Okay. Let's grab C4 here. That one's pretty distinct. I should remember where it goes. Okay. I got 5 bits to put back on. Switch over, if I can find my mouse. Multi-screen with tiny mouse equal confusion. Okay. So, start with C4, why not? Let's get him into view. Way up here, which means the board is dangling again. Add some flux. Grab and solder. Move board so it doesn't go spiraling off into the void. I'm going to straighten it out a little, if I can. Let's see. There we go. Okay, and the other side. Hopefully there's enough room for me to get solder into the other side. We'll see. Looks like it is. Cool. Okay, so that one's on. This diode, ground to the left, and that was at location D1. Okay. Which is way up and over here. There you are. Okay. Oh man, I have to balance this. If that's the case, let's rotate this and see if we can do it a different way. So I have to not confuse myself about which way that line is going. So, grab this. Well, I'm hoping Mac84 is going to be doing a stream today. He hasn't done one in a while. He usually has some cool stuff. He does a lot of the prototype stuff, which is really neat to see. Or he has done a lot of prototype stuff. Yep, that one's on. Fuses. Where did they go? Fuse 1. Over here. Right there. Okay. That guy prepped. Okay. That one. Bring it over here. Now. Oh, you're very spread out, so I'm going to have to try and get this all the way over to the side, I think. Although, hang on. What I could try to do is bring that into view, warm this up. Takes a second. Yeah, you can move it in a little. Right there. Let that cool down. And then you get a little bit more working room. Okay. Does that affect the fuse? I don't think so. Not much anyway. If it does, I mean, if someone tells me it does, I will swap these out for new ones at some point, but at least for testing purposes, this should be good enough. Come on. There we go. Stay right there. Nope. You decided not to, huh? Now you're in there. Okay. I didn't even get that on screen. Of course. There we go. I'm going to have to change my layout for this desk so I can actually see on screen directly ahead of me what you guys are seeing. Because under the microscope, I can see this just fine, but when I look over, it's like, oh, that was only 1/4 in view. There we go. It's one fuse. Fuse 2, where are you? That's odd. I thought so. Okay. So up here by the diode, we can bring that into view. We're missing a label for fuse 2. And the same with fuse 3, which is right there. So the silk screening is missing for these two components. Again, very minor. Hopefully get caught in the next revision. I would like to get to the point where I can design something like a reloaded board. I am still, despite the Color Classic LCD kit, which I really do love, I still kind of want to do an analog Revision D reloaded board for the Color Classic, because those analog boards are so miserable to work on. They're so thin, they've been exposed to so much heat that even the most basic maintenance on them means that you've got pads flying off at like 300 degrees just while you're trying to remove leaky capacitors. And I like to preserve things. I like to have them as original as possible. You know, with some upgrades. Upgrades are fine as long as it's reversible to me. But that's just a quality of life thing. Those analog boards are so bad. I would love to see a reloaded board for them. You'd still have to, you know, take the original flyback. Unfortunately, I don't think there are any alternatives to that flyback. I did watch one video, and I'm afraid I don't recall the gentleman's name, where he was trying to adapt a 575 flyback to work in a Color Classic, and it mostly worked. I think he ended up with, was it too narrow a video on screen? But at least he had video on screen. But just being able to move those components over to a board that you know is not going to fall apart on you while you're trying to work on it would be a massive thing in my book. Alright, come on. Alright, you're going to stay that way? That's fine then. What's this? Someone's messaging. Nothing important. Let's get this on screen. I have a very terrible habit of looking at that stupid watch now anytime someone messages me. I really do need to stop doing that. There's a psychological term for it, which eludes me this very moment. But it's that little dopamine hit you get because you get a trigger and respond to it. U1. What is U1? That's interesting. I'll bring this up in a second. One second. Now I've got the wife messaging. We're looking after a foster cat, and apparently she just threw up whatever her breakfast was, which is strange because we've given that to her a dozen times already, and she's never had a problem with it, so why is she having a problem with it all of a sudden? She's a bit of a problematic cat. Unfortunately, we don't know her full history. We do know the owner apparently passed away and no one wanted to take care of her, so we volunteered to take her in for a bit. And ever since we have, she's had, a feline influenza. She's had, I think it was bloody diarrhea. She's had an eye infection, and today she's throwing up. So I don't think she was in a very good home, to be honest with you. I don't know the details, I don't know what's going on, but she seems to have a lot of little issues. Which is a shame, because she also has some emotional problems where for the first few weeks we couldn't even approach her. She would just stay in the corner and growl at us. She is at the point now that she comes out, she talks to us, you know, meow, 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 meow. I want my breakfast, whatever. But you can't touch her. I gotta switch where this camera is pointing, sorry. I move around too much, and apparently I should just set this face tracker. I'm gonna take Q2 now. So yeah, she's better than she was, but we can't touch her or she hisses and tries to swat at us. And she still has just these odd illnesses. Like today, with the throwing up. I have fed her the same food for ages now. And today she threw it up. Why? What changed? I mean, it's possible she got into something, because unfortunately we have caught her climbing counters and getting into cupboards. And it may be that she got herself into something bad. Our cats don't do that. They know better, but she has apparently never taught that. It's just difficult, unfortunately. Let's get this Q2 under the scope so you can see it right there. Put a little bit down. Don't do these very often, so hopefully I can figure out how to make it work. This is interesting. So it's one of the things I like on this board. There are through-hole alternatives to these components. And what the designer of the board has done is he's made it possible to use the original component or to use the through-hole replacement, because maybe those are a little bit easier to source. I'm not sure. There you go. Down. Good. You should actually be all the way down, please. So yeah, we'll keep working on that Foster, but she definitely has a lot more issues than we're used to dealing with. Feel bad for her. Could be a really nice cat, but she's got a lot of trauma from something. It makes me rather sad. Okay. Why don't we start grabbing some of these, like D7, Q4, all these little tiny things, because I am so going to forget if we don't. And I'm going to have to do these under the microscope so that you can actually see, because they are absolutely tiny. I'll check with the wife, see if she needs some help here. I may have to pause. See what she says. I'm going to do these one at a time because they're so tiny. I'm always afraid they're going to go flying. Closer, bud. Thank you. Alright. Q1. We're going to have this. And I'm just going to tack it in place, and then I'll get the next one, because it's going to take me a second to get all these off. What's she say? No. Asking which food I gave her. I gave her the Friskies Blue, which we were told was what she was on when she was taken into the shelter. I don't know if that's what she was on originally. dry. Her reaction is the same as mine. What the hell? We've been feeding that to her for ages. Why is she suddenly not good with it? Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. My melt decided to just suddenly let go for the overhead cam. Good thing that didn't crash into anything. And that was in tight. And it's tight now, so what the heck? Ghosts. Crap. Now, where did my part go? There it is. Oh, that would have been bad. I don't know if I have any of these in stock. Okay. Alright. Try that again. One day I'll get a stream where I'm not constantly interrupted. I mean, statistically it's going to happen. Hasn't yet, but I mean, statistically it should happen. Is this even on? No, that's what I thought. Let's get this little guy. There, that's one. I could probably remove the others with just a soldering iron to speed this up. But just in case, let's use the hot air. And can you see anything? Sort of. Okay. So this is D3. Now it's D4. D5 was one that was missing a pad. And Q3. There are so many of these little parts. So many. Yikes. Let's try not to sneeze too hard or it's going to go flying. These are small enough pads, I should not need extra flux. I just need to tack it down. There we go. Okay. First one. Second one. Based on the markings, I would say these two are the same. Third one. That appears to be the same as well. And then the last one. If I can get it off the table, because it's adhered itself. There we go. This one you can't even read, which I find to be a common problem with these. Markings are very poor for readability. There we go. Okay, tacked on, not done. Have to come back, but I want to keep finding them because there's a lot here. Let's see. Well, I wish Will was back. I'd love to get him on stream so we can chit-chat while we're doing this stuff. Craig is on the road, so we were lucky to catch him yesterday. There's D6. Get off my thing. Kill. D4. D6, Q4. How many more of you guys have I got? D7 and D8. It should be all for the little tiny, teeny tiny stuff. Alright. D6, Q4. That is over here. There we go. So get that into view. There we go. Let's clean off our tip. At some point, I might be looking at a new soldering station. I'm not loving the Hako. It's consistent for heat, sure, but its feature set is lackluster. I'm not sure. I was told they're the one to get when I started. And the more I've used it, the more I've gone, man, I wish it had this. Man, I wish it did that. I wish this part was cheaper to replace. Why do I have to insert a key to do anything? So it has not been my favorite. Okay, so two little guys near the battery, D7 and 8. Oh, those are. Okay, I'm gonna fix those. That's fine. D7 and 8. Which you cannot see. Now you can. It's been an hour already. Oh my goodness. Okay. There's one. There's two. Two. Okay. And you're again not even on screen. So there are those. Let's get everything tacked down properly now. That's flipped. It's weird, but okay. Yep. Back on there. Okay, let's put those two. Try not to drag the board. It is very easy to think to do that. But you don't want to knock components off on the underside. More than enough flux and solder on here. Should adhere. Okay. These four. Oh, we lost a camera. Why did we lose a camera? That's interesting. Let's move. What have you done, camera? Ha ha ha. I see what it has done. It has flipped the camera to the other side. Let's fix that. I don't know why you jumped off your stand earlier, but hopefully this solves that. Okay. All right, let's get these into view. Okay. That's not hearing as nice as I would like. Let's come back to that one. It's odd. Might be taking him off and putting him back on because he did not adhere to his pad on the one side as well as I would have thought. That was good. Yeah, see, it did not adhere on the left at all. That's weird. Let's try that again. There we go.
Are you streaming?
I am streaming, yes.
Oh.
Love you. Wife had a cameo. Better. Alright, and then I think I still had one over here. That guy. Why? Some of these just do not want to adhere. They weren't dirty. So what's going on? That left leg did not adhere at all. And it still doesn't when I press on it. That's interesting. Up higher. There we go. Now it's good. Weird. Must have just had extra gunk on it that I didn't see. Alright, now what do we got? Now that the overhead cam is working again, let's bring it up. Okay. And zoom out. God, that is so handy. Okay, so we've got a bunch of resistor packs and some through-hole capacitors. A bunch of capacitors. I think that's all that's left, really. Yeah. Well, let's look at some values here and see if we can just take a bunch off at the same time. 9204, 9204, 9204, 9204, 9204. Looks like we can take off all of these at the same time. Not be worried about getting mixed up. So let's take off all of these. They're black, so I don't have to worry about them turning yellow. Two. Three. Four. And five. Okay. So all the ones around. What are you? You are UK 11. Okay. I'll check. I thought I had an extra piece of solder here, but apparently not. Switch back to the microscope. This one. There we go. And down. Okay. If anyone does know where to get a reduction lens for these trinocular microscopes so that the camera can zoom out from the rest of the image so we get more of a view, I would appreciate it. Because it's one of my big complaints about this setup is it feels like things are way too close. But when I look through the microscope, it's perfect for me. And I strongly believe it would be better for you guys if you saw closer to what I see rather than this extra zoomed in version. And again, I'm just going to tack these down and then come back and put them all on. Minor attempt to speed things up here a little bit. Stop it. I know. You want to make a little thing because I didn't use enough flux. That's fine. We'll come back and fix you later. Come on. There you are. A bit more. Good enough. Fix that with flux in a second. Okay. Been watching more of that Fallout Season 2. I think I'm an episode behind now, so I'm going to catch up on that. Been enjoying it so far. Hopefully they don't do what every series these days seems to do and muck it up partway through and make it so I have absolutely no urge to go see it ever again. I can't even tell you how many times that's happened in this series here in the last little while. Starts off, ooh, that's really interesting. I hope it builds to something. Oh, that's really dumb. Okay, I'm giving up on that. I will have to decide if I'm going to try and watch the last season of Stranger Things here. The reviews I've read so far, and from what I've heard around the office, it does not sound like it's worth my time. I really enjoyed that first season. When it first came out, it was very well done, very 80s correct, and, you know, interesting story. Definitely made you want to see more. And season 2 was okay. Season 3 was, Season 4 was, I did enjoy seeing the Amiga. I think that was in Season 4. One of the kids' friends, girlfriend, whatever it was, I can't remember now. Father had an Amiga 1000 in the office. And it was nice to see, but they made a mistake when they switched from the long shot to the short shot, where they do the up close of the monitor. They go from an Amiga monitor to an Apple IIe monitor. So second unit production must not have realized or lost track of the original monitor they had been using, because they had the right monitor in the long shot. But yeah, they messed it up for the close-ups. And yeah, only a nerd, computer nerd would notice, I'm sure, but it was really apparent when they did it, for me anyway. They tried to get around it by adding a little Amiga logo over top of the Apple logo. I don't know if they did that in post or if they did that on the day, but it just, oh, it stuck out like a sore thumb to me. Kind of wanted to go back. There's a series a long time ago, early 2000s now, called Chuck. I kind of wanted to rewatch that because it's one I started but didn't really commit to, because I was in university at the time and didn't really have the opportunity to watch anything on a regular basis. What I remember about it, though, is all their secrets being stored in the Macintosh Classic, which even then made me laugh. But it goes to show, I mean, when it comes to design, Apple has some really classy designs that tend to endure. Oh, it's, no, I'm just going to do this. You can see it in the corner. I'm taking off RP8. Can you get all the black ones off first? So that's RP8. And let's grab RP2 and RP1. They're up at the top. I can, kind of, right there. So yeah, I kind of want to go back and watch that. It's been ages since I've sat and watched it. I think that one had Adam Baldwin in it. And I really enjoyed him in Firefly. I think Chuck came out after Firefly, but don't quote me on that. I think it did. If you haven't heard, there is a rumor going around that they're going to do a reboot of Firefly, which I am always less than thrilled about reboots, especially if they don't involve the original creator and have them to help guide what the point they were trying to bring across was. There are some things I admit have been done pretty well. Battlestar Galactica mini-series, I will emphasize the mini-series, was done really well. Unfortunately, it really lost ground with me after about season 2-ish, I think. It was around the time they landed on the planet and Baltar got elected as the president, and they were going to settle there instead of continuing on to look for Earth. And the Cylons found them, and then they started doing, suicide bombers to try and discourage the Cylons from remaining there. It was... But it was at the time, it was commentary on the Iraq situation. Fine. I get it. I was tuning into that show to get away from that crap, because that's real life, and I had enough of real life at that particular time. And to be blunt, even today, you want a little bit of escape. And seeing that in my show was the last thing I wanted to see. So I tuned out. And then they went completely off the rails after that. I did try and tune in a couple more times, but I know Ronald D. Moore from Star Trek, and he did some very good episodes. But when it came to Battlestar Galactica, I found he was way too focused on the individual relationships and lost track of the story. Yes, the characters are important. I don't want flat characters in my stories. But I also want stories in my stories. And by the time I kept tuning in, it seemed like they had completely lost track of what exactly they were trying to tell the story about. At least that was my view. Because, suddenly Starbuck is a ghost lady, but not really, because she's physically there, but then she disappears at the end, and I don't know what the heck was going on there. And apparently the drunk first officer was actually a Cylon, but didn't know it, and all this other stuff, and I'm going, this does not fit with the narrative that you laid out prior to this. You didn't set anything up. This just kind of came out of the blue, and it's to give the character something to do. So you didn't earn it, you just threw it in there because you needed something to try and keep people watching. And that's where I was like, yeah, no. Would I want Ronald D. Moore involved in Star Trek if he had the opportunity? Yeah, probably. I don't know that I want him show running necessarily, but certainly consulting and maybe doing some writing. But I think if you give him too much control, he gets a little too focused on the people and loses track of what is supposed to be happening in the story. I think you need to balance him with someone else that's going to focus on the story, and then it'd be probably a fantastic combination. All right. Hey, Craig. Yeah, I figured I'd get started. Sonia's busy watching her football, so I thought I would jump back in and try and get some more parts on. Let's grab some Kapton tape and see if we can keep all these yellow caps from turning brown when we're taking them off. It's just talking about reboots in television and how I'm not thrilled at the idea that they're going to be rebooting Firefly. I have heard that there's a new Stargate series coming out as well, but that's supposedly a soft reboot / continuation, which, depending on how it's done, could be good or bad. They do, at least by the sounds of it, have some of the original creators on board, so I'm hoping that keeps it from going completely to crap. But we'll see. That should be out in the next year or so, I guess. Try and keep these from turning yellow. Were you up late last night, Craig, or did you actually manage to get to bed a decent hour? You seem to have much longer nights than I could possibly handle. I am certainly an early bird. I am definitely not a night owl. Let's switch this over to the bigger view, 'cause you're not going to see anything here. There we go. So I've just added some Kapton tape on top. We'll see if this helps keep them from turning brown. It's not like they stop working if they turn brown, they just look ugly, so, eh. Would be nice to keep them looking better if we can. Some of these I might have parts for if they do go really bad, but replacement parts that is, but if you don't have to use them, great. So that's RP9 I just took off, and this would be RP4. I think these have different values, so I better keep track. Okay, so that's RP4, that's RP9. So where are we at with this board? Let's actually bring that up real quick. We have fuses on, we have diodes on, we have some of the oscillators on, all of the chips are on. What else have we done here? We've started on the resistor packs. So it's a lot of the through-hole components. And capacitors, I think. So we're almost there. Okay, that did help. Switch over to microscope. Yeah, that's not too bad. That did not brown. A little bit of Kapton tape seems to have certainly helped in that respect. Oh, what have we got here? Interesting. A little piece of my brass for cleaning my tip came off and landed on the CPU. So glad I noticed that before I tried to do anything with it. Straighten this out. Okay. And that RP4, let's tack that in. RP4 is interesting. It's another one where they appear to have laid it out so you can use either one of two components with different footprint. Although apparently that was on the original board too. I didn't even see that till now. This one got a little brown on the edge. You can see it right there. It's not too bad though. So, line this up. So. Tack this down. Nope. Okay. Grab some more parts and keep going. I think we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 more resistor packs, and then the rest are capacitors. So we're getting closer. Okay, let's get that. That's a bit too much Kapton tape. Excuse me. Sound like congested here. I find that happens a lot lately. I don't know what's in the air, but just out of the blue get congestion. Could not have anything to do with all these noxious fumes floating around, I'm sure. I really should probably invest in a better, well, okay, I'm not using Kapton tape for this one. Their fume extractor would be a good investment, I suspect. So that's RP3. Let's do 5, 6, and 7 here. I'll switch the overhead so that you just get a broader view. There we go. Yeah, fume extractor would probably be a good investment. Probably need that more than I need a different soldering iron, to be fair. And 3. Okay. Let's get those on. RP3, top right corner. Pardon me a second. I'm just going to have a sneeze here. Oh, that's better. Okay. RP3. Let's get that guy on here. Then we'll have to go back and get all these properly adhered down. Where is your dot? Right there. Okay, good. Microscope. There we go. Tack down, good. Let's grab these three. 1, 2, and 3. Can take the Kapton tape off of these. Alright, well, that did pretty well. Not any burn on that. Browning, I guess I should say. It's not really burning, it's discoloration. Okay. That's fine, I'll fix that in a second. Number 2. Dots in the right direction. I don't know if it matters with the resistor packs, to be honest. I think they're all using the same values, so orientation probably doesn't matter that much with them, but still try and make it consistent. All right. Okay, and we'll come back and we'll fix all that with some flux. And where are we? There we are. See, a nice big glob there we did not want, but we'll flux that and drag it across, and it should be much happier. Let's get some down here. What do I need to put on here for sockets to be able to test things? Well, ROM socket would be good. That way we can test with the ROM sim rather than have to put those ROM chips on, which are unknown state right now. ROM sim we know is working good. RAM sockets, we're going to need those. What else? What else is the minimum? SCSI port, ADB, probably sound, probably the power, probably the ATX, or ATX, the power connection and the power button. Capacitors, jumpers, LED, reset, and interrupt. Yeah, still a few parts left. Man, you think you're almost done and you just go, oh yeah, no, there's like 15 more things before we can even test. Not to mention all the other stuff we have to do to complete it. But it is closer than it was. Okay, those are on. I really do hope we get a chime out of this and some video. It'd be nice to see it do something. Be nice if I could have it happen first try. I've only had it machines boot up the first try after reloading, I think, 2 times out of 8. So my record is nowhere near as good as Will's. But I will say at least most of them have been pretty easy. I've usually figured them out. Apart from one I ended up sending to Will to help me, and then of course he found it in like 30 seconds. Because of course he did. You spend days and days looking for stuff, and then someone else looks, oh yeah, it's right here. Where were you days ago? Okay. We got this guy. There. Oh, Craig has left the building. I'm guessing he had to go and do some work. Come on. Yes, I know. I know you don't wanna. You're gonna. There you go. See? Told you. There, that's better. This one was a little mucky. Did not want to adhere very well. Seems better now. Come on. There you go. Not quite. More. There we go. That one's on. What else? We got top corner, I think. Let's see. Yep. This guy here. All right. Half. That's not too bad. I only see one that really got some brown on it. The rest appear to be pretty good. So the Kapton tape helped for sure. There we go. Those are on. I might give this a quick spray down with rubbing alcohol and do some general cleanup here. Just so I can see more of what's going on. Make sure I haven't missed anything obvious. Yes, I use a lot of rubbing alcohol. I expect that will change over time. I'll probably get more efficient with it. Where did I put my doodad? My chummy jigger, brush thing. This will work. Let's do some light. That is a lot of flux. Okay. I forget who I was watching. I think their recommendation was to use one of those magic erasers. I haven't tried that. It seems expensive and messy, because I'm pretty sure it would just fragment everywhere. And those things are not particularly cheap. Cheap enough if you buy them in bulk, I guess, but trying to be a little bit more frugal these days, seeing as how the economy is not in the best of states. All right, so these are all new capacitors that were put on this board. The original one here. I am thinking I will just take them off, quite frankly, because there's nothing wrong with them. Just taking a quick gander here. This should be easy enough to remove. I think I'll do that. If I have any problems, I'll replace them, but I'm pretty sure that these are fine. So, to do that, I want to grab my second soldering tip, plug that into the other station, and we'll move this board out of the way for a second. I don't have tweezers, so I just basically cheat. And I take the two soldering tips and I just press them against either side until the solder melts, and then poof, it pops off. C2. C3. C5. Come on, off. C9. I believe these are all the same value. Okay. Alright, and then we'll put that away. That way. That's probably still hot. Let's not grab that with our hands. Okay. So that's all the C's in the corner for sound. So let's put those on. The board's getting pretty light. There's not much left. Alright, so do I want to remove these with some braid? Yeah, I might. You know what I could do? No, if I use the hot air, they're going to turn brown. Let's not do that. Grab the braid. It's easy enough to do. So let's just do that instead. Back to the microscope. We're just going to remove this, remove that, get back to nice and flat. That'll be easier to deal with. Do the same for the others. That one's actually not bad at all, so I'm going to leave him alone. This one needs help. Come on, get off my fingers. I know, flux. Flux makes things sticky. I get it. Oh, who's messaging me now? Let's see. Ah. The wife has our cat all cuddled up with her. Yes, we did actually end up adopting 2 new cats after our 3 passed away here recently. They're 2 very unusually stable orange cats. They don't seem to have the usual orange cat maniac gene. So we decided it would be a good fit for us. If you've had an orange cat, you know how they can be. Alright, let's try this now. So I'm going to rotate this board. And we are going to have these 4 capacitors on the board. Come on. Keep sticking to my finger, which is not helping. Flux is good and bad. And C9. Okay. Alright, let's get these guys tacked on here. So the tantalum cap, got the stripe facing the positive line, like they all should. I don't know why they did it the opposite with the through-hole components. But, you know, until I get a time machine and can go back and correct that horrible mistake, it's going to have to stay the way it is. Of course, if I'm grabbing a time machine, I'm probably making a few stops. What's that one? So, well, it's connected. Okay, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Just looks a little odd. He says as he still gestures it up again. Okay. Yep. Number 4. Is it the positive side? I can't tell. Yes, it is. Okay. There we go. Those 4 are on. We need that through hole, which means I should get my... Nah, we'll do the through hole last. That way I can switch back to the other desoldering tip and stay with it. Okay, so we got C16. I think the only one that's different here are the 2 C11 and C12. So let's just do them real quick. Why are you sleeping? Wake up. Come on. There you go. So there's seat 11. There's seat 12. Okay. Seat 12, you come with me. We're going to put you way up here. Like that. If you ever get off my finger. There you go. And C11, you're coming... Ooh. Do you read here? No, you didn't. Okay. You're just sticky. Too sticky. There you go. Okay. C11 goes up there. Okay. Get those two done. And then we'll do the rest. See, 12 right there. Alright, so you're C12. There's your positive. Well, you have a lot on you. I'm going to clean you up real quick. Why are we focused on C10? There. Well, where are we at now? We're at almost 2 hours. I would like to continue on a little bit longer today because I really do want to try and get this to the point where we can do a test boot. I really am aiming for that for today. Okay, I know, Braid, you're gonna cling on to everything. Okay. Thank you. Grab this, back to C12. Rotate it the right way around, because it's currently facing the wrong way. Ah, thanks. Try that again. Too sticky. Alright, you're going to be sticky. You're going to get the rubbing alcohol treatment. There you go. This guy on. Okay. Should be good. C11, same sort of thing. Yeah, clean him up because again, he's a little bit too much solder on those pads, so I can't easily get him to stay flat. Alright. Over here. Nope. Up. Okay. Move over, please. You have a hair on you. That's annoying. I don't have hairs. How come you have hairs? There, do the hair. There we go. This seemed good. Let's grab the last 3 yellow, or 4 yellow, excuse me. Didn't see those. One more yellow. They're all 46 Ds, so let's go grab them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Come on. There you go. Okay. Of course he got stuck to another pad. Yep, there you go. Thank you. 2, 3, and 4. Okay. All right, we're getting close. Getting very, very close. At the bottoms of these. I know. Let go. Thank you. It's 1. That one's fine. This one's too much. That one's fine. This one's too much. Okay. All right. Where did those go? Let's go remind myself where those 4 went. IICI. There you are. Okay, so let's take a look. I believe they are over here. Am I correct? There's a 10. There should be a 4716 and a 4716. Yes. Yes. Okay. So grab these over here. And that one over there. Switch back to the microscope. See if we can actually get this in view. Which we can. Hooray. And let's get these guys on. Let go my finger. Thank you. Positive. There we go. Better. Cord getting caught. Times I seriously consider I should maybe get a wireless. And I think, well, no, because then every time I go to use it, it's going to be out of battery. Positive to the positive. Heat that up. And, did that actually go down? No, it did. Okay. Better. Yeah, a little bit off of my cleaner again. I guess it's time for a new pad for that. falling apart on me. Last thing I need is more of that. Okay. I can get some of that gunk off. Nah, okay, that's fine then. I'll do that later. Where are the other two? The other two were C16 was 1. And oh, C6. That's the other one. Okay, let's get C6 since it's already here. Okay. Interview. Yep. C16. Have to check all these after the fact, make sure they're facing the right way. Last thing I need is a tantalum exploding. Yep. And there we go. Okay. It's good. Wow, we are getting down to it here. We got a few capacitors left and then just the components I need in order to do some testing. Cool. Let's do the overhead. So that's where we're at. Get it into view, would be even better. There we go. We have almost all of the surface mount stuff done. We just have a few more caps to grab here. So you got two 47 6-volt, so I'm going to grab them, C18 and C19. That's one. And two, C18, C19. Let's take those off. Put them on. Tweezers, there you are. 18 this way. 19 this way. Okay. One. Yeah, I need it a little bit further. Well, there's not much room on this pad. Boy, okay. Does not feel like a lot of room on that one. Alright, what's next? We've got C1, C7, And then the through holes, I think. Cool. Okay, let's take those off. C7. These are both 1016s. And C1. Okay. C7. Oop, that glued itself down to a different pad. And you gotta really watch it when you're moving those off. Okay, and C1. Oh, shoot, we missed C20. Let's go grab him real quick, too. C20 down by the battery holder. Come on. Everyone else came off nice and easy. Why are you being a pain? Okay, let's try this. Add some flux. Try it again. There we go. Okay. C20. It's right there. Grab our scope. Up to there. Up top. Okay. Yeah. C7. Direction. Okay. Again, it's not a ton of room on this. It'd be nice if those were just a little bit wider. These particular caps are pretty long. Okay, that is all of the surface mount components. So, if we take a look overhead, that is now every surface mount component is back on. We need to switch to our soldering gun. We'll use that to pull off the caps because I don't know if I have any of those in stock, so we might as well reuse what we got. They were brand new anyway, so I don't see a problem with it. Yeah, we'll just toss them on here. And then it's a matter of getting some through-hole stuff on. So cool. Alright, you can warm up anytime now. Another Haku gadget. And I found out recently that they are going to discontinue this one. So the little filter cap here, yeah, apparently it's not going to be made anymore. Which is annoying because I would have liked this to be a reusable component with, you know, just replacement cotton or whatever, like other rework stations I've seen, but unfortunately they never designed one for this. And now they're discontinuing the ones they have. So I'm going to have to figure out what I'm doing with this. And that's one. Two. Come on. Let go. Come on, let go. Really want to cling on to this one, huh? 3. And this is not even an axial, this is a radial. No. Is that axial or radial? I always get those mixed up. Whatever, it's the opposite one. But it's what I had at the time, so. That is C8. Let's get C8 on there first. What is, hang on, maybe I have one of these now. What are you? 25 volt 470. Let's see if I have a axial of that in stock. Of course, I reorganized all this, so now I have to figure out where I can put them. Let's see. 3350s? Nope, not those. I feel like we have more of these. I really do. Hundred, no. Any of those, any of those. These are in the way. Any of those. Axial, but no. The one I'm looking for. Oh, what do we got there? What are you? You are... $470.25. I think that's what we want. Let's see. $470.25. Yep, that'll work. Okay, cool. We can put a proper axial on here. I thought I had a couple new ones. They're getting harder and harder to come by, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bend you a little bit different. So, I do not have a proper bending tool. I should actually ask my friend Joe to print one off for me, because that would be very handy to make things look a little bit nicer. But for now, I'll just make do with what I got. Okay, that's one. That, thank you. Alright. C14, which should be 470.25 as well. Yep. Well, 470.16 according to the recap guide, but that's okay. Close enough. Can we rebend this leg? It's pretty mangled. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, it's not great. Let's see if we can do this without the leg snapping in half. Need to be able to get just a little further out. And hopefully flatter. More like that, maybe? Let's see. Yeah, that's a little better. Not as pretty as I'd like, but usable. Okay, that's 2. See if we can make this a little less like an M. Doubt it, but we can try. Another 40/70, this one's a 16, which is actually what the value is supposed to be according to the recap guide. Yeah, that's what I thought. This is not quite spread out enough. Can I spread you further? Well, let's see. There. And get you to be flat, maybe. Maybe. There. Okay, that's 2 legs. I'm going to have to chop these legs. They're a little bit long. Come here. I wonder why you ended up longer. Must have bent them a little too far out. Okay. Okay, and then the last one. We've got is this little guy, and that one is, ooh, the wrong size completely. That's interesting. 220/25. Do I have a different size of those? So that guy is way too long. I was just looking. 220/25, I think it said. Nope, not that one. What are you? Nope, not that one. How about you? Those are 33. Nope, none of those. 220. I don't know that I have any of these. Can I make it make do? I mean, it's quite a bit longer, unfortunately, than the available space. 220/16. Let's see if I have a different kind that work there. 220, let's see. $47, no. $33, no. 220, 220, 220. What are you? No. Too far down. 100. 220s, yes. 22016, is that what I need? 22016, yeah, this should work. Nichicon, so it's okay. Or, no, this one's Rubicon. Interesting. I don't have an axial that'll fit in that spot. So I'm going to have to go with the other kind here. Unfortunate, but, well, that's what we have, and it'll be good enough for a test. Positive, negative. Looks like a bit like a spider, but that'll work. Okay. Oh, we're so close to being able to test this board. I can feel it. Just have a few more parts with a lot of pins to add. Okay, so get those out of the way. Take off these legs so they're not sticking out. 1, 2. I'll step on that later. Undoubtedly, because that's just how it works. All right. So there we go. We have moved over all of the surface mount components from the original board to the new board. We've got capacitors on. We've got resistor packs on. We're ready to add in the bits we need in order to do some testing now. So let's grab those. What do we need here? I need at least a couple things of RAM. Move those out of the way. 2, 3. I think we only need one bank, but I'll take both just in case. We want the light. We want the power switch. We want the interrupt. We want the reset. Filter, yes. And oscillators, yes. Got a bunch of stuff here. That's not even all of it. But I'm going to have to take a quick bio break, and I will be right back. All right, so we're back. Sorry about that. Just had to deal with biology for a moment. We've got a whole ton of parts here. They're now going to have to go back onto the board in order for us to be able to test. I'm going to see if I can find some sockets because I don't really know the state of these oscillators, if they're working or not. So rather than put them on and find out that they're dead, I think instead what we're going to do is put those into some sockets, which has worked for me before. I also need to check the orientation of this power connector to make sure I get it on right, because there is no key, unfortunately. Although it looks like these pegs indicate that it should go this way. So that might be okay. I'll bring that a little over. Yeah, the pegs should indicate which way it's supposed to go. So we'll do that. Where do we want to start? Sockets? Let's find some sockets. Hopefully I have them all in stock. Otherwise, we will do what we can. So, we want oscillator sockets. Let's see. Do we have any of those left? Maybe not. Oh dear. Maybe not as many as I'd like. Got 1, 2, 3. We have 5 to deal with. Okay. That may be a bit of a problem. Well, I do have those, and I have these. A little janky, but what I can do is I can do that for the other 2. That should work. And then do I have the right size for the ROMs? Because I will want to test them eventually. Too short. My supplies are low. Too short. Too long. That's a Motorola. 68,000, so that's not going to work. Do I have another batch of these somewhere? I thought I had 2 sets, but maybe I don't. Nope. Alright, another good reason to go with the ROM sim instead. Speaking of which, I've actually left that up here. So let's go grab that. Or did I? I thought I did, unless it fell down. It might have fallen down. Let me go take a look here. I had everything up on a shelf, so oh yeah, there it is. It fell down. Okay, got it. A ROM sim socket. It's even got the metal tabs, so it's one of the better ones. Alright, well, we might as well actually start with that, I guess. Why not? Let's see. So what's your orientation here? Looks correct. Okay. No. It is not correct. Or is it? It is not correct, because this is the smaller side. That is the larger side. There we go. Okay. Ooh, thank goodness for keying. Now let's see. This one I should be able to zoom in and do it overhead so you guys can see it a little bit better. And then we'll fix the focus. There we go. Okay. It looks like it's nice and tight against the board. So let's add some flux and start pinning this down. Okay. We do not need that. We do need the ROM select, so let's put that in next so we don't lose track of it. I do have KMac Vintage replacement ROM that should work in this. I think if the jumper is off, that it will use the ROM, and if the jumper is on, it will try to use the onboard. If I remember correctly. Let's see. So, one thing we have to do to get these oscillators on and use sockets is we have to pull the pins out. So I can show that with the other camera, I think. Let's try that. Assuming I can find my mouse again. Second camera. Yep. So we have to pull out basically all of these up to this one and this one, both sides, and then we can use this for the oscillators, and then if there's a problem, we can just replace it instead of having to desolder them. Get that on camera. There we go. So I'm just using one of these little picks. And yeah, I'll clean up my floor later. Fortunately, I have a fake wood floor, so it's pretty easy to spot stuff. I'll run the vacuum through as well. And then eventually the little Roomba comes by just to pick up anything I miss. Come on. Stubborn one. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's one. I have to do this 5 times. Joy, joy. Can't get over how many of these oscillators are on the board. It's just so unusual. Yes, you could use the mechanical turn pin style. I don't find they make as nice a connection, strangely enough, with the oscillator legs, so, which is why I prefer the double wipes. Oh, this one's a little different. This will be a different batch. Doesn't quite hook as easily. Come on. Doesn't pull out as easy either. Does stab me just a little bit deeper. That's fun. Come on. There. Come on. Another stubborn one. Ow. Yeah, I want you to stop stabbing me, please. It is painful. Wouldn't be an 80s or 90s computer if it didn't stab us a little, though, would it? They all seem to need to draw blood. It's the only way they'll function properly. Otherwise, if they don't draw enough blood, they don't work. Oh, one more on this one. Let's clean these up. I'm sure a dozen have fallen on the floor, but that's okay. I'll get them later. Not too concerned. If I don't get them, my foot certainly will. There we go. Okay, now the harder ones. So, if I... Oh yeah, drawn blood. Fun. Just like I said. Let's not bleed all over the new board. So, these guys I'm going to have to do together because I only have a 4 and a 3 instead of a 7. So I'm going to have to put them like that, and then on this one I'm going to take out those 4 pins at the back, and the other one I'll have to do the 6 pins in the middle. And if this works, then chances are I'll replace these later with proper sockets. I just don't have any right now, and I do want to get this tested. And I'm really hoping we can get it to chime right away. That would be so nice. Would be so nice. Okay. Was I orienting these together like that? Okay, that needs the back too. Okay. Why can't all of them come out as easily as you? With far less stabbing. Spoke too soon. Oops. I should wear gloves when I do this. I mean, tetanus is fine though, right? One. So that's 1, 2, 3. This would be 4, and then I need. I have 2 4s. I should have a 3 in here. There it is. Don't need 2 4s. Need a 4 and a 3. Okay. those up. And then this one, come on. Two. Ouch. There we go. Okay, one more. Thank goodness, almost there. Seen people pop in and out here for viewers. Sorry, I know I'm not quite as entertaining as Steve from Mac 84. I think he puts on a really good show. He's got impromptu singing, impressions, all kinds of stuff. I don't do those. I'm sorry. No impressions for me, no singing for me, which I think actually, if you ever heard me sing, you would say is a blessing. Come on, there we go. There we go. All right. Let's get those put on. Let's switch that back. No, I want the... That is the right one. It's just zoomed in too much. Okay. Let's do this. Your mount. So, it's a little hard to tell with these. They are keyed so that the square side is pin 1. On this particular silk screen, it is very difficult to tell that squaring, to be honest, but I think it is like this. I wish actually they had just kind of made a triangle and colored it in, because the silk screen is so thin, it almost looks like they're all curved, but I know that's not the case. Again, these are all minor things. It's just little things that would be nice for the next build. But I know, unfortunately, these are all from the same batch, so they're all going to have the same silk screening silliness, so I'll just have to get over it for this batch for sure. We'll use our 3 nice ones here for the middle, and then we'll use our janky ones for the other 2 locations. You did a bugger. See, and that's exactly what I was worried about. I put the pin 1 indicator in the wrong place. So we'll just wake up the thing here and pull this back off. Dang it. You can't see. Let's see if we can bring it a little closer in here. Okay. Waiting for a desoldering gun. It is not fast. Not even by any stretch of imagination. It's a huge complaint I have about this gun is it is very, very, very slow to heat up. Especially if you put it down for like 3 seconds. And it's like, I will go to sleep now. No, I just wanted to rest you. Please wake up. I will wake up again in 30 minutes. Oh, God, why? Okay, there we go. So let's fix this. I want my pin 1 to point right there to the squared side. Better, thank you. Trying to think if there's anything else I've been watching lately. Wife and I keep talking about wanting to go out to see a film in the theater. I will be honest with you, there has not been a single thing I've seen coming out lately that has really interested me, apart from maybe like Zootopia 2. How sad is that? The only thing I can even look at and go, yeah, I might watch that, is a cartoon aimed at family entertainment. But there's nothing else has been appealing. Oop, I missed a pin. Let's fix that real quick. How did I miss the pin? Oh, because only half of it came out. Lovely. Thank you. 2 and 3. Bent leg. These sockets are very flimsy legs. Not fun to deal with. But yeah, no, I know they had Stranger Things was out in theater for the last episode. I had no interest in that. Especially when people at work were talking about it. I don't know what else is even advertised lately. Nothing's really stuck out. I don't watch a lot of television to see those advertisements. And I do my darndest to make sure I don't see them on the internet because I absolutely hate ads in general. But no one's talking about anything that they've watched. No one said, oh, this has been so good, you should go see it. I mean, I can't think of the last time I had word of mouth for a movie where people were saying, oh, it's best. I've seen it like 2 times, 3 times now. It just doesn't happen anymore. Okay, so this oddball. Oh, your legs are splayed. Okay. There we go. Come on. That one. And the next one. And then one more of these, and then we can figure out which oscillator goes where. I don't remember. I'll have to look at my photos. Although I think it's labeled. Oh, it's labeled. Okay, that should make it easier. And then you are squared over here, which means that should go here. Is there another one? Why did I do another one if I don't need it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blood extra for nothing. Okay. Good to know. So what other components on here have they made alternative holes for? They've got the RTC chip. They've got whatever U1 is. I don't know what U1 is for, to be honest. I would like to know. I'm curious. It is a curious thing. There we go. Okay, so let's move that out of the way. We can throw some oscillators on here. If we zoom out. Too far. Right about there. Okay, let's see. Who have we got? We got 31.3344. Where are you? 31.3344. You are Y4. Okay. Stick you in there. We have 57.28. Yep, 57.28. That's right above it. It's Y3. We've got 40 megahertz. That is this guy down here. Y7. Holy moly. We've got 50 megahertz. That is Y6. Y6. And then we have, where are you? 30.240. Okay. And I believe I have these all facing the correct way. Yes, it's that way. So I have no replacements for these if I blow them up. So that would be the hoot. I need this little inductor. Throw him up here. That would be good if we intend to do anything with the ports. Again, I'll just tack this on and we will deal with it, securing it completely later. I just want to make sure I get all the pieces on first. Alright. Reset, interrupt. Reset, interrupt are down here. Bottom of the board. It didn't click as nice as they usually do. Did I break the legs? No, just didn't click. Okay. Usually, there we go. That one clicked. Maybe you just didn't like that spot. You want the other spot? Nah, you just don't want to click for me. Okay, fine. Reset. Interrupt. Get those on. That is ugly, so let's hit that with flux and hit that again. There we go. Much better. Okay. Next, let's get that bulb on. The LED bulb. Because that'll be cool to see that light up. There we go. I want you to... No, don't bridge. Ay. No bridgey. No bridgey, that. That's better. Thank you. Much better. Don't need to fry my little bulb. Oh, I think I have a replacement if I needed it. Okay, power on off button. I don't know about the state of this one, to be honest, but we'll find out. Okay. No one in chat. We're at 3 hours. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we're up to 8 hours of build time. Pardon me. Plus probably another 4 or so for teardown in order to reclaim some components. So this is a 12-hour build so far for me for the very first board. And we're not done. I mean, we're at least close to testing. So that's something. Sound. Oh yeah, I want sound. I really want to hear it chime if we can get that far. That would be awesome. Good. I'll have to come back and tack this on, but at least get it in place for now. Okay. Memory. Okay. I might as well do all the memory. Which way do you go here? Here, the big side is that way. Let's get this a little closer up so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. So memory, these are the original slots, which means they're probably going to have a couple of bent pins. Because unfortunately that just is what happens when you end up pulling them off a board. Which means I need my flat tip, if I can find it, so I can properly straighten that out. Where did my flat tip go? Did I put it in the wrong place? Probably. Because I like to do that to myself every once in a while as a challenge. Let's not put it in the drawer that we've been using for the last 6 months. Let's put it in a different drawer today so we can spend half an hour looking for it. Nope. Okay. I just have to make do. So we got a bento pin right there. See if we can. That's better. A bent pin there. The rest look okay. This guy's got a little junk on it. Let's see if we can scrape it. There we go. Okay. And again, they're keyed, so the big side is over here. The other side's over there. And it should just kind of wiggle in, assuming there are no other little leg issues. Looks like there might be. Is that you causing that problem? Yeah, you're a little bent. Okay. Try that. There we go. That's one. Nice and tight. Anchor it down, and then we'll come back to finish them off. Remember if we have any memory I can use with this guy, but we'll look and see. I'm doing so many SE30 builds, I might have already used up most of the memory that we had. What I should do is start buying more from Will with those big modules. least so I have them on hand for my own stuff. Alright. Oh, bent pin. Another bent pin. Rest look okay. So I'm missing something. So let's try that. Something sticking. Where's sticking? Somewhere. Oh, I see another one. Okay, let's pull that out. Don't want to damage the via. Where did I see you? Right there. Okay. Boy, oh boy. Getting some of these to straighten out without my proper tweezers is a bit of a pain. I have a nice flat pair somewhere. They work great for just squeezing together, and then the pin straightens right out. They're perfect for that, and of course I misplaced them. Okay, let's try that. Where are you hitting? Somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle is hitting. I'm gonna guess it's you guys, because you're a little bit askew. Yeah. There we go. That was it. So I did have another set of these that Will from KMAC was kind enough to provide. They are slightly different in that they don't have a gap between the two. They're kind of closer together. But with this board, it had the metal clips, so I thought, well, I might as well reuse this one. We do have a different one that has the plastic clips. So with that one, I will probably replace them with the ones Will provided, because they will just be a lot nicer for the next person to use instead of the plastic ones. Okay, number 3. Where are you hitting? Oh, almost. Where are you hitting? And somewhere up at the left-hand side. Let's see. Oh, there it is. I do have some of those plastic ones. So the nice thing is, if you have like a broken leg or a really bent one that's just not coming back into shape, you can transplant these in a lot of cases. You just have to make sure when you do that you use ram stick, kind of make sure that everything is nice and flush. Boy, this guy is a bit bent, isn't he? Try that. So that's good, because these are becoming exceedingly hard to come by. There we go. Yes, you can still buy some of these from a company out of the US. My problem is, because I'm in rural Canada, they couldn't verify my address, so they refused to ship to me. And my other problem was they have increased the costs on these quite a bit because I assume they're running out of stock, and they realize people are still trying to get these, and they're trying to maximize their profits. Which, fine, but crappy for those of us that are trying to keep these things going because we don't really have a lot of options. Well, that's not true. KMac Vintage is making a new option for RAM that basically just has to be soldered in instead of using these sockets. And that just might be the way we all go in the future, because we're not going to have anything else to use because the sockets themselves are going to be no longer available. They are no longer being manufactured, and the sources are just going to run out eventually. Or they're going to get to the point where no one's going to, in their right mind, is going to pay what the people are asking for it, and then they're going to be stuck with a lot of inventory that they're probably just going to end up chucking, sadly. Because, you know, they're not going to be willing to drop the price. It seems to be the case these days. I'm getting kind of cynical in my old age. Seems like people would rather flip you the bird than lower their price so that things actually sell. Alright, so what do we got here? We've got an ADB port, a display connector, a SCSI port, and a floppy. I don't need the floppy. I do need the power. Speaker would be good, although for some reason these pins are misaligned. Let me fix that real quick. Why are your pins misaligned here? Three hours, 13 minutes in, and we're almost at testing. Almost. I have to heat this up so I can push that forward. I don't know why it's so far off. Hot. Yep. I knew that was going to happen. Yet I did it anyway. Which one is the correct one? One of them has gone askew. I'm going to guess that it's the shorter one. Yeah, that makes more sense. Then it actually comes through the board. Before it wouldn't. Now I need a slightly stronger tool to be able to bend these pins back, because boy are they askew. There. And there. Should do it. Okay. So this is sound. Where is sound on this board? Speaker. Where are you, speaker? I can use the output jack, I guess, but yeah, we'll have to figure out where that goes. Let's get the power on. Assuming it will fit. Oh, that feels quite... Ooh. Really? Oh, I can't go that way. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Sure, we'll go with that. There's a tight fit. And those don't seem like they're going all the way down. Why is that? Let's grab my adapter board. Where did I put that one? This one. There it is. No, not like that. Those pins aren't going all the way down, which means they have moved. So let's move them back. Let's see. Can I pull? No. What else can we use to push those back into place? Oh boy. Yeah, those are too high. No wonder they're not showing up. I'd have to warm them up and then push them down. I don't want to melt it though. How do I do this? Means I need a pair of really small. I don't know if I have anything that small. There we go. That moved. That already looks better, although it's still a little low. I thought these make a good connection. They're not going to right now. Try that. See if that's any better. Hopefully these all line up still. They do. Okay. Yeah, that's better. They actually stick through the board now. Whereas before, they really didn't. Which would not have been any good to anyone, because then we would not be getting power on those rails. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that should be enough to hold it in place. I'll come back to it later. That's exciting. We've got a power connection now. Is this going to go through? Let's see. Video, are you gonna fit? Yes, you do. Excellent. Okay. That's 1. Does he? So, might need to compress that a little. Okay. Didn't quite snap, but seems to be in there. Okay. I might be calling it quits here because we still have several. I'm going to go with 100 pins now to solder before we can do our test. I mean, we are so bloody close, but I do have to have something to eat at some point here. I might come back on later and finish this off. But for the moment, I'll at least get these last bits and bobs on and ready to start the proper soldering process. Okay. Should probably do both ADB, but start with one for now. Okay. What's left? Well, I'd like to know where the heck. I'll put that on for sure. I'd like to know where the heck the speaker is. I don't remember where I took that off. Is it jumper 15? Might be. I'll have to go check. Either that or it's J23. I don't remember. I just don't remember. I have other boards I could always look at, I suppose. But I mean, they're all the way down the hall. It's so far. Okay. We can throw the floppy on, sure. Huh? Okay, secured enough. What else do we need here? Oh, I can look at this and see where the speaker was. Let's see. There's my ROM. J23 is speaker. Okay. Aha. So he has it on the original board, is not on that board. Which way does it go? That way. Okay. That is really bent. Okay, that's not great. Come on. Why did that bend so badly? I might have to use a different part for this. Assuming I have one. I might. Maybe. Yes. Okay. Won't be original, but it will work until I can get a another one. Not that one. There we go. J23. That will do for now. There we go. There. Good enough. Okay. So let's take a look where we're at. Now all of these need to be properly connected. They're only kind of just tacked on for the moment. That's the way our power supply adapter is going to go. It fits on just fine, so nothing wrong with those pins, I'd say. We have not done the processor direct slot. We've not done the new bus. We've not done these ROMs because I'd rather have sockets for them. We will use the ROM select. So we will, that's very crooked. Let's see if we can fix that real quick. That's better. Okay. So we'll use the ROM select and get it to boot off of the ROM from the ROM sims socket. We have we could still go over this with the multimeter. I mean, I've looked over it with the microscope. It didn't show any signs of bridging, but it would be safer to do it with the multimeter, so maybe I'll do that. We need to put on the other ADB port. And otherwise, yeah, it's pretty much, it's just about there. It just needs these last few pins done up and then we're ready to test. So I'm going to call it here for right now. I might come back on later this afternoon after I've had a bit of a break. But thank you for anyone that tuned in, and stand by and we'll see if we can get this board to boot up.